The sun was setting over the dusty colony world of New Terra 9, where humans and aliens lived in silent tension. Jack, a former space engineer turned food vendor, stood behind his small food stall, grilling his last piece of bread. His stall was set up near the old spaceport, a place where broken machines, forgotten cargo, and even forgotten people gathered. Jack wiped his hands with a cloth, tired but satisfied. It had been a long day, and now he just wanted to eat. But then he heard a tiny voice behind him, soft and shaky. "Excuse me, human." Jack turned around surprised. There stood a small alien girl, no taller than his chest. Her skin was a light blue, almost gray, covered in dust. Her eyes were wide, glowing with hunger and fear. She held something in her small hands, wrapped in torn cloth. She stepped closer and opened the cloth, revealing an old broken doll. Its arms were missing and one eye was gone, but the way she held it, you could see it meant everything to her. She looked up at Jack and said, "My doll. For your bread." "Please," Jack blinked, unsure if he heard right. He glanced at the doll, then at her skinny face and trembling arms. Before he could answer, she whispered again, voice even softer, "My sister is eating grass behind you." Jack turned his head slowly. Behind a pile of metal crates, hidden in shadow, he saw her, another alien girl. Even younger, crawling on the ground. She had leaves in her mouth, chewing slowly like a sick animal. Her eyes were barely open, her body weak. Jack's heart stopped. He wasn't a rich man, not a hero. Just a man with a food stall. But something about the girl's voice, the doll, the other child chewing grass, it broke something inside him. He stepped forward and knelt beside the little girl holding the doll. "What's your name?" he asked. Gently, she looked scared to speak, then said, "Tira. My sister is Rena. We don't have food since last moon. Mama is sick. Papa never came back." Jack looked down at the grilled bread in his hand. It was his last one for the day, but he didn't think twice. He broke the bread in half and handed it to Tira. "Here, for you and your sister," he said softly. Tira stared at the bread like it was gold. She didn't eat it. No. She ran to her sister and gave it to her first. Rena took a bite, then smiled weakly. Tira came back and gave the doll to Jack. "I keep my promise," she said, and tried to smile. Jack didn't know what to say. He looked at the doll in his hand, broken but filled with meaning, and he knew this was not just hunger. This was survival. This was desperation. This was a hidden pain no one else saw. He asked gently, "Where is your home?" Tira pointed to a dark tunnel nearby, covered with broken signs and warning tape. "It's down there. Many of us hiding," she said. Hook ends with suspense. Before Jack could ask more, Tira suddenly collapsed in front of him, her body hit the ground with a soft thud, her eyes rolling back. Jack panicked and caught her just in time. "Hey! Stay with me!" he shouted. He looked around, no help in sight, just cold air and silence. With the doll still in his hand and the alien child in his arms, Jack stood up and ran toward the dark tunnel, not knowing that what he would find inside would change everything. Jack carried the unconscious alien girl Tira down into the tunnel she had pointed at. The entrance was dark, cold, and filled with broken metal signs that read, "Unsafe, do not enter." He hesitated for a second, but then looked at Tira's pale face in his arms. He tightened his grip and stepped into the shadows. The tunnel smelled of rust, old fuel, and something worse like sickness and forgotten time. Jack turned on the small light from his wrist device. It flickered, but it was enough. As he moved deeper, the sound of the outside world disappeared. Silence wrapped around him like a heavy blanket. Then he heard a soft voice echo in the dark. "Who are you?" Jack stopped, shining his light ahead. From behind a stack of old cargo boxes, a tall, thin alien woman stepped out. Her face was gaunt, her arms trembling, but her eyes went straight to Tira. "My daughter." She gasped and rushed forward. Jack gently handed Tira to her, and the woman began to cry. Thank you, human." Jack looked around, and his heart sank. More aliens slowly appeared, quiet, weak, scared. Some were children with sunken eyes, others were older with wounds and broken bones. They were hiding here, living underground in the dark. A small boy pulled on Jack's sleeve and asked, "Did you bring food?" Jack knelt down, gave him the last piece of bread he had hidden in his jacket. The boy ran off and broke it into 3 pieces. Sharing with 2 other children, Jack realized they were surviving off crumbs and hope. One of the elders, a wrinkled alien with a long white beard, stepped forward. "We are the forgotten," he said, "left here after the last war. Those who were too slow, too weak. Not wanted by either side." Jack sat on an old metal crate. Listening, the elder continued. "Many of us once worked with humans, helped them build this colony, but when the fighting ended, no one came back for us." Jack's throat felt dry. He remembered his time as a soldier. He remembered hearing orders to evacuate only important personnel. He never thought about who was left behind. Suddenly, someone tapped his leg. It was Tira, awake again, holding a small cloth bundle. She opened it and said, "This is all we have. It's for you." Inside were 3 buttons, a cracked coin, and a faded photo of a smiling alien child. Jack shook his head. "I didn't come here for gifts." But the girl insisted. "You gave us bread. You saved my sister." Before Jack could speak more, a loud boom shook the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling. Some children screamed. The mother hugged Tira tightly, and the elder shouted, "They found us again. The raiders." Jack jumped to his feet. "Who are they?" "Dylian. Scavengers. They take our children, steal what little we have." The elder replied. Another boom, closer this time. Lights flickered, fear spread like wildfire. Jack looked at the frightened faces. He couldn't leave them. "Not now, I'll help you," he said firmly. "But we have to move now." Ending. Hook for Part 2. As he helped the elder guide the others to a deeper hiding spot, Tira suddenly tugged his arm, whispering, "I know a place where we can hide, but you won't like it." Jack stared into her eyes. "What do you mean?" She pointed deeper into the dark. "A place where even the raiders won't go." "Because it's cursed," she whispered, and Jack realized the real danger hadn't even started yet. Jack followed Tira deeper into the tunnel system. His small wrist light cut through the thick darkness, showing broken pipes, old wires, and strange alien markings on the walls. Tira walked ahead slowly, holding her sister's hand, while the other aliens followed behind Jack. Every step felt like walking into a different world, colder, heavier. After a long walk, the tunnel opened into a wider chamber. It was once a military storage room. Jack recognized the design. Boxes of old human equipment lay scattered around, half buried in dust. The alien survivors had turned this place into a hidden home. But there was no time to rest. Another distant boom echoed through the tunnels. The raiders were coming closer. Jack looked around for anything he could use to defend them. Old metal rods, broken shields, empty crates, nothing strong. He clenched his jaw. These people had been struggling for years with nothing, and now he was responsible for them. Tira tugged his sleeve. "This room. It is safe for now, but they will reach us soon," she said. Jack nodded, then turned to the alien elder. "We need more exits, hiding spots, anything." The elder sighed deeply. "There is one way, but it leads to the old human base. Your people sealed it after the war." Jack frowned. "We sealed it? Why?" The elder hesitated, eyes full of regret. "Because many died in there. Humans and aliens. Some say the spirits never left." Jack didn't believe in ghosts, but he didn't argue. Right now, fear was real enough. He moved toward the old tunnel that led to the base, but then he froze. Footsteps echoed from behind, heavy, armored boots, moving fast. Jack pulled Tira and Rena behind a crate just as a tall figure stepped into the chamber. A human soldier helmet on, rifle in hand, armor shining under the weak light. Jack whispered, "Stay down." He slowly rose from hiding, hands open. "It's me, Jack," he said. The soldier removed her helmet. It was Lieutenant Mara Briggs, someone Jack knew from years ago. Sharp eyes, tough face, strict officer. She stared at him in shock. "Jack, what are you doing with them?" she demanded, pointing her rifle toward the aliens. Her voice was cold, but shaking with confusion. Jack stepped in front of Tira and the others. "I'm helping them," he said calmly. "They're starving, sick, hunted. You need to see this." Mara's eyes narrowed. "I already know," she replied. "That's why I came, to warn you. Command has issued an order. Any human working with illegal alien groups will be punished." Jack couldn't believe it. Illegal? They're children, families. They just want to live. Mara shook her head slowly. "You don't understand. This is bigger than you. Bigger than them." She looked tired, older than before. "Jack, Command thinks these aliens know something about the old war files. Classified things. They want the raiders or the army to destroy all evidence." Jack stepped forward, anger in his voice. "And the children? They don't matter?" Mara looked away, unable to answer. Then she whispered, "Leave this place, Jack, before it's too late. You can't save them." Tira came out from behind Jack, eyes full of fear. But he already saved us once," she whispered. Mara stared at her, shocked at how thin she was. Her voice softened. These children. Are they all that's left?" Jack nodded. "There are more, hidden deeper, all abandoned." Mara's face changed something in her. Heart cracked. She slowly lowered her rifle. But then her radio crackled. "Unit 7 report. Have you found the human traitor? Raider activity confirmed. Move in and clear the tunnels." Mara tensed, eyes wide. "They're coming, my whole unit. If they find you with these aliens, you are finished." She grabbed Jack's arm. "You have 10 minutes, maybe less. Get them out, now." Jack looked back at the frightened aliens. He looked at the dark tunnel leading into the old human base. He took a deep breath. "Tira," he said, "show me the cursed path." Tira nodded slowly. She grabbed Rena's hand and pointed toward. "Narrow passage hidden behind an old metal panel, this way. But once we go inside, we cannot come back," she whispered. Jack helped move the panel aside, revealing a pitch-black tunnel. Cold air rushed out like a warning. The other aliens began to follow, fear mixed with hope. Before entering, Jack turned to Mara. "What will you tell your unit?" She hesitated, then whispered, "The truth, that I found nothing." Jack smiled faintly and said, "You always had a heart." Mara, she didn't smile back. "Go, Jack, before they arrive, and be careful. The old base is dangerous." Many never came out. Ending. Hook for Part 3. Jack stepped into the darkness with Tira leading the way, and as the tunnel swallowed them, a strange, low hum echoed from far inside. Something alive, something waiting, something the raiders feared. But Jack had no choice. He walked deeper, not knowing this place held a secret that linked him to Tira's past. And the truth about the war. The tunnel grew colder with every step Jack took. Tira and Rena held each other close, their feet dragging slowly behind him. The narrow passage curved and sloped downward until it opened into a vast, silent underground facility. Dust floated through the air like tiny ghosts. Old flickering lights hummed overhead. This was once a human command center, long sealed after the war. Jack looked around at the broken computer screens, scattered helmets, and blood-stained walls. This place had seen death. He stepped carefully over shattered glass and broken memories. Tira whispered, "My father was here." Jack turned to her. Confused, she held up a small object wrapped in cloth, a military medallion. "I found this with his name on it," she said. "I was too young to remember his face." Jack unwrapped the medallion and froze. It was a human military honor, the same kind Jack had been given years ago. He flipped it over and gasped. It had his old unit's symbol. A wave of cold panic ran through him. How could an alien child have a medal from his team? He remembered. The mission classified, quiet, forgotten. They were told to sweep this area for hostiles and seal the base. But no one ever said there were civilians, children, families, helpers. Jack walked to an old wall panel and forced it open. The power was weak, but the backup terminal blinked once, then came alive. Lines of old code and logs flashed on the screen. He searched by mission date, then narrowed it by sector, then by survivor records. And there it was, Operation Purge LIGHT video logs appeared. He clicked one and saw his younger self with a squad of soldiers. Guns raised, shouting in fear. In the footage, alien civilians were hiding, holding up signs, screaming they were not enemies, but the order was given, and the screen went black. Jack stepped back, horrified. His legs trembled. Tira stood quietly behind him, her small hand reaching for the screen. That was my father. The one holding a photo. That's him, she said, pointing at a figure in the video. Jack's heart cracked. That man wasn't a soldier, he whispered. He was trying to protect his family. Jack slumped into a broken chair, face in. His hands, he had followed orders. He had believed what they told him. But the truth had been buried deep under lies. I'm sorry, he said to Tira. I didn't know. I should have asked more questions. Tira didn't cry. She simply placed the medal back in his hand. I don't want revenge, she said softly. I just want my people to be safe, my sister to live. That's all. Jack nodded slowly, and then the silence broke crack. The sound of a weapon firing echoed through the halls. Jack stood fast and pulled Tira and Rena close. Footsteps echoed from above, heavy and fast. He turned off the screen and grabbed a metal rod for defense. Then a voice called out, not a raider, but a human soldier. Jack, we know you're in here. Come out with your hands up. Jack recognized the voice. Commander Reeve, his old commanding officer. He remembered Reeve's voice during the war, cold, strict, and always willing to erase mistakes. They're coming for us, Jack said. But we have the truth now. This base still holds the files. The evidence. The alien elder stepped forward from the group hiding near the back. If those files go public, it could start a wave, he said. But also, maybe justice. Jack nodded. We copy the data and escape, he said. But we'll need help. From someone inside command. Tira looked up. What about the lady soldier? The one who warned you? Jack remembered Mara Briggs. If anyone could help, it would be her. But time was running out. Reeve's squad was closing in. Ending hook for part 4. As Jack copied the files onto a small data chip, he turned toward the shadows of the escape tunnel. Let's go. We deliver the truth. We protect these kids. We end this. Suddenly, Rena coughed hard and collapsed again. Her body weak from hunger and illness. Jack picked her up gently. Tira looked up at him with tears in her eyes. You promised you'd save her, she whispered. Jack held the child close and whispered back, I will. Even if it costs me everything. Asterisk. The air in the old base had turned sharp and cold. Jack held little Rena tightly in his arms as she coughed weakly, her body shaking from fever and hunger. Beside him, Tira walked with quiet steps, her small hand gripping his sleeve. Behind them, the alien survivors moved in silence, every face filled with fear. Jack knew they had little time. Commander Reeve and his soldiers were coming, not to rescue, but to erase the past and everyone who remembered it. They reached a lower storage bay where an old vehicle was hidden under sheets of dust. An armored hover transport, long forgotten but still intact. Jack pried open the back panel. Sparks flew. But the engine coughed to life. He turned and waved. Everyone in, now. One by one, the aliens climbed in, Tira helping the elders and children. Jack gently laid Rena in the corner and wrapped her in his jacket. Then he took the data chip from his pocket, the files from Operation Purge Light. This tiny chip now carried the truth that could change everything. As the transport lifted and began to move through the maintenance tunnel, Tira asked softly, "Where are we going?" Jack replied, "To someone I trust. A woman named Mara. She's the only one who might listen." But as they turned the corner, boom! An explosion rocked the tunnel. The vehicle shook, smoke filled the air, and the lights flickered. "Ambush!" Jack shouted. A group of raiders appeared. From the side, fierce, armed aliens wearing stolen military gear. Jack jumped from the transport and grabbed a metal rod, defending the entrance. He fought hard, striking one, dodging another, but then someone slammed into him from the side. And everything went black. Jack woke up tied to a cold wall. Wrists aching, vision blurry. Tira was beside him, bound too, her eyes wide with fear. He looked around, heart racing. Rena was nowhere in sight. Then heavy boots echoed in the dark. A large figure stepped forward, half human, half machine, a burned face with a cruel smile, armor covered in scars. "Long time, Jack," the voice said. It was Breaker, a former human soldier turned outlaw warlord, once a hero. Now a monster who sold children for parts and credits. Jack growled, "Where's the girl? Where's Rena?" Breaker smirked. "Relax, she's with my medics. Can't sell a broken toy, right?" He laughed coldly. "Your little rescue party gave me quite a surprise. A group of weak aliens? And a traitor human? What a gift," Tira shouted. "We're not weak. We survived." Breaker leaned close. "You survived because no one remembered you existed. And that's how it should stay." Jack struggled against his ropes. "I have the truth. The data. People will know. You can't stop it." Breaker laughed again, louder this time. "You mean this?" He held up the chip. "Too bad. I already sold a copy to Reeve. He'll destroy the rest." Jack's heart sank. But then, a sudden sound echoed above gunfire, screams, then footsteps. Then a voice shouted, "Jack, where are you?" It was Mara. She had come armed, fierce, and ready. A flash of light, a blast, and the wall exploded. Mara stormed in with 2 resistance fighters, guns blazing. She shot one of Breaker's guards and tossed a knife to Jack. "Cut yourself loose," she yelled. Jack grabbed the knife, freed Tira and himself. Breaker roared and ran at Mara. They clashed, hard fist to blade, armor to armor. But Mara was faster. She stabbed Breaker in the shoulder, sending him crashing to the floor. Jack snatched the chip and ran to find Rena. He found her in a side room, barely breathing, but alive. He picked her up and turned to see Tira crying with relief. Outside, the stolen transport had been recovered. Mara shouted, "We need to leave Reeves. Unit is minutes away." Jack climbed into the transport with Tira and Rena. Mara took the driver's seat and slammed the controls. They sped off into the tunnels, leaving the burning hideout behind, ending Hook for Part 5. As the vehicle roared through the night, Jack looked down at the chip in his hand. "The truth is still alive," he whispered. Tira looked at him and said, "But what if the truth isn't enough?" Jack didn't answer, because deep down, he feared she might be right. The real fight was just beginning. The transport zoomed through the old sewer lines beneath the colony city. Mara kept one hand on the steering lever and the other on her weapon. Eyes sharp, Jack sat in the back, holding Rena tightly in his lap, her breathing weak and shallow. Tira sat beside her sister, gently wiping her forehead with a piece of cloth. The group had escaped Breaker's hideout, but they were not safe yet. Reeves' elite soldiers were still searching for them, and the data chip Jack held was now a target. Mara spoke without turning her head. "There's a place in Old Rebel Drop Point. We'll stop there. Get her some care." Jack looked down at Rena. Her tiny hand barely moved. Her lips were dry, her skin pale. "She doesn't have long," he said softly. "She needs medicine." Tira clutched her sister's hand, her voice cracking. "She gave me her half of the bread. She always gives me more." even when she's starving. Mara's jaw tightened. We'll get her what she needs. I swear it. After a tense hour, the transport reached an abandoned shelter buried deep under rubble. They pushed open a heavy door and entered a dark room with old lights and rusted metal beds. A human woman in medical gear came out from the back, shocked to see them. Mara? Who are these children? Refugees, Mara replied quickly. From the tunnels, one is critical. Help her first. The woman nodded and took Rena away on a stretcher. Tira almost followed, but Jack held her back gently. She's in good hands, he said. Tira nodded slowly, eyes full of hope and fear. Jack sat down on a bench, finally breathing. He pulled out the data chip again and looked at Mara. We need to get this out. The galaxy needs to know, Mara sighed, sitting across from him. You don't understand, Jack. If we leak this, Command won't just come for us. They'll declare you a traitor. Me too. They'll erase everything. Jack clenched the chip in his hand. They already erased those people, Mara. The children. The fathers who trusted us. We can't let them do it again. Mara looked at him silently, then finally nodded. I'll contact someone. A journalist. Someone not afraid to speak truth. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Then came the sound of a transmission static. Then a voice. You have something that belongs to Command. Surrender the chip, or be destroyed. It was Reeve. He had found them. Mara jumped up and ran to the old console. He's tapped the signal lines. We have maybe 5 minutes. Jack turned to the medic rushing out of the back room. She's stable. For now, the woman said. But if you don't move, none of you will make it. Tira ran to her sister's bedside and kissed her forehead, then turned to Jack, tears in her eyes. I'll carry her. I'm strong, she said bravely. Jack smiled sadly. No, little one, I'll carry her. You protect the chip. He handed the chip to Tira and lifted Rena in his arms. She was too light. Her body still fighting to stay alive. They ran down a hidden tunnel behind the shelter, dust falling from the ceiling. Echoes of boots getting closer behind them. They emerged into a wide cavern filled with old mining carts. Mara jumped into one and pulled the lever. This old track leads to the surface fast, she said. They all climbed in, Jack, Tira, Rena, and 2 others. The cart jolted forward, picking up speed. As they raced through the dark, bullets rained down from a side tunnel. Reeves' men had followed them. Firing blindly, Jack covered the girls with his body as Mara returned fire. Tira held the chip close to her chest, refusing to let go, ending. Hook for Part 6. As they neared the end of the track, a blinding light appeared ahead, the exit to the surface. But the tunnel ahead had collapsed halfway. Mara shouted, Hold on! The cart smashed through loose rocks, flying off the rails. They crashed into sunlight, rolling across broken stone. Dust everywhere, coughing chaos. When it cleared, Jack looked up and saw dozens of people standing before them, humans, aliens, civilians, all waiting. The signal had gone through, but Reeves' voice echoed once more. You think you've won? This is just the beginning. Jack stood tall, holding Rena in his arms. Tira beside him with the chip held high. He replied, No, Commander. This is the end of your silence. Asterisk. The crowd outside the collapsed tunnel stood in stunned silence. Dust still floated in the air, and the mining cart lay broken on the ground. From it rose Jack, bruised, bleeding, but still standing. In his arms he held Rena, her small body wrapped in a torn blanket, barely breathing. Beside him, Tira stepped forward slowly, holding up the data chip high above her head. It's all here, she said softly, but her voice carried through the crowd. The truth they tried to hide. The truth of what they did to us. Mara stumbled forward next, gun in hand, armor dented. She looked around at the journalists and civilians, some human, some alien. They had all come after receiving a leaked emergency signal from her private channel, a signal carrying just one sentence. Come see what they buried alive. News drones flew overhead. Flashing lights and cameras zoomed in. One reporter stepped forward, holding a mic. Is it true? Are these the survivors of the purge? Jack nodded, his voice low but steady. Yes, they are. And this, he gestured to Tira and the chip, is the proof. Before more could be said, engines roared in the distance. A black hovercraft descended, landing hard. From it marched Commander Reeve, dressed in full combat uniform, his face cold and hard, flanked by soldiers with rifles raised. This ends now. He barked, hand over the data. These creatures are unauthorized. And you, he pointed at Jack, are a traitor. Jack stepped forward, still holding Rena close. She's not a creature, he said sharply. She's a child. A little girl who gave her food to her sister and ate nothing. She is more human than you'll ever be. Gasps moved through the crowd. Journalists raised their cameras, recording every word, every second. Reeve tried to silence them. This area is under military lockdown. You have no right to be here. But one alien elder stepped forward, then another. Soon dozens of survivors stood tall, elders, mothers, children, and beside them, humans who had come to listen. People who believed the war was over. People now learning the truth. Mara turned. To Reeve, her voice calm but strong. You lied to us. To your own men. You told us there were no civilians, no children. We followed your orders and left them to die. But now they live and they speak. Reeve's hand twitched toward his weapon, but the crowd didn't back away. They stepped closer instead, united. Tira walked to Jack and reached into her pocket. She pulled out the same broken doll she once tried to trade for bread. She held it high in one hand and in the other. Jack gave her a fresh, warm piece of bread from his bag. Cameras zoomed in as she raised them both. Side by side. A doll for bread, she said. That's how it began. I was just a hungry girl. But this human gave us more than food. He gave us a future. Jack smiled, eyes wet. She didn't just give me a doll, he said to the crowd. She gave me purpose. And she reminded me what it means to be human. Silence. Then, someone in the crowd clapped. Another followed. Then the whole crowd applause. Loud and rising. Reeves saw he had lost. The people, the truth, the moment. He growled something under his breath and turned to leave. But two officers stepped in front of him. Military police. You're under investigation, one of them said. For war crimes, conspiracy, and destruction of evidence. Reeves' face turned pale. He was dragged away in silence. Final scene. A few days later. Tira and Rena stood on a new stage, fresh clothes, clean faces, shy smiles. Jack stood behind them, now officially their guardian. An alliance of humans and aliens had begun. The footage had gone viral, sparking a wave of compassion and change across many colonies. A movement started called One Bread, One Chance at a ceremony. Tira placed her doll inside a glass box next to the bread Jack once gave her. A plaque read, "Kindness is never forgotten. It begins with one small gift." Reporters asked, "Tira, what would you say to the human who saved you?" She looked at Jack, then back at the camera and smiled. "I already said it when I gave him my doll," she replied, "but I'll say it again. Thank you, final line, and for the first time in a long time." The galaxy listened and remembered.